One.
All right, how's everyone doing? I know everyone's doing well. This is an exciting time and really exciting because what I want us to do as a professional development committee of teachers and educators is to improve instruction through assessment and data. Real important, guys, and I know you are looking forward to this because we want to be the best we can be for our students. And the only way to be the best we can be is to make sure that we're addressing their learning needs. And we can only do so through improving instruction, improving data and assessment. In improving that, we want to know why. Oftentimes we ask why, and we know that data and assessment, that they're separate, but they are also together in that. That's what we use to help us to work with the students and to give them the very best that they can get. So we need to know the individual student needs. We need to understand all of our students, understand them as individuals, individual education plans. If we can create those for each student, then we know what their needs are and not necessarily the needs of the whole. We understand the whole student, but we must understand them individually so we can differentiate accordingly. So we need to support instructional decision making. That's what the importance of data and assessment are. It supports individual instructional decision making. So that way we can decide how we're going to teach, what we're going to teach, and we can decide that through the data and through regular assessment. We can develop individual strategies to help all of our students. We have to develop those individual strategies. So there you go. I'm going back to the individual education plan for each student. This is the reason that we have to develop assessments. These are the reasons that we need to understand assessments and not be scared or afraid of what assessments do or what they say or even developing assessments. It's really fun. It's fun because it gives us a new idea, a new perspective for our young people to understand who they are and how they learn. And it gives us an opportunity to address the differences in student learning styles, to understand that each student learns differently, and that's great. That is fabulous. That's okay. And that's why we differentiate. That's why we have so many varied assessments. And that's why it is important that we have formal, informal, summative, formative, that we have an array of assessments so that we can really understand what works best for the individual student. And so we have to develop useful assessments. When we develop useful assessments, then there's nothing to be scared of or afraid of. Then we understand how to properly use them to help us to provide corrective instruction and give our students a second chance to demonstrate success. We give them a second chance because what we do is we're developing the sort of assessment that will help them to understand who they are. They'll understand how they learn. We can understand how they learn, and gives them a chance, a second, maybe even a third chance to demonstrate success. It is critical. So our role as educators is to support student growth and understanding. By developing the proper assessments, then what we're doing is we're supporting their growth. We're supporting them along the way, and we're helping ourselves and our colleagues and peers to understand individual student growth. We obtain multiple sources of data to understand a pattern of need. Again, we're talking about student needs. So when we're talking about student needs, it's really critical for us to get multiple sources of data. So we have different forms of assessment, different sources of data, so we can put those together and understand student needs. Use the data every day. So we have to collect data all of the time through homework, quizzes, exit tickets, discussion, whatever it takes to help students to understand, and not just one source of assessment or one source of data, but multiple throughout the day. Then it's fun to put it together. It's like a puzzle. It gives us an opportunity to piece together everything it takes to help us to work more closely with each individual young person. Again, I keep emphasizing the individual student because it's real important that we understand them as individual people and what makes them tick. What's going to help them? Some students learn best through just quizzes. Others may learn best through discussion, through Socratic seminar, through exit tickets, or through writing. So that's another thing too. It gives us a chance to identify the student's strengths, weaknesses, and needs. Again, I want to go there. Strengths, what they're strong in, different aspects that we can understand their strengths. Then we look at kind of where they may have some challenges. Those would be considered their weaknesses. And the student will have an area, maybe have one small area of weakness, large areas of strength in various subjects. By assessing those things, then we can look at their needs and what we need to do to help them to develop to be their very best. So in order to do that, we need to plan ahead through teamwork and communication with one another. As a faculty, it's important that we're communicating with one another, that we're working together, and that the various grades, the various levels, the various subject matter, the various teachers, the various people in this educational field are working together to understand the needs of each individual student. And that will give us a chance to plan ahead and develop useful and differentiated assessments. I can't say that enough. Differentiated assessments and that supports individual needs. That is super important so that we make sure that we are addressing the needs of each student. That's what assessments do. That's what it's all about. Again, it's fun. It's a puzzle. It's putting together what works best for students, and that's what we're all here for. We want to know what works best for our students, what helps them to be their very best, and how we can help them to rise to their levels of excellence, the levels that we know they can reach and they know they can reach. So we make certain that our assessments also, of course, align with the state standards. There are state standards, and we have different ways we can do that, and you guys are very well aware. We'll talk about those different strategies, reading strategies and academic strategies that we can do to help those students to reach their goal and their potential. So our role is pretty large, but it's a fun role. It's something that we're working for and working toward to help us to be the best we can be for them. If it's great for students, it's great for us, and that's what we're all about. The next thing are various assessment strategies. I spoke just a moment about formative and summative, but we're talking about open-ended questions so that students can write and talk. Remember, these are young people. They're active. They want active learning, active participation, and writing gives them a chance to give their thoughts and feelings on paper, to put it down so that they can kind of, sometimes there are some students that won't say it aloud, but they'll write it down. But also giving them opportunities to think, pair, share, to discuss, to do Socratic seminars, to teach them how to conduct an appropriate Socratic seminar. But giving them a chance to reflect and write and read so they can really learn. Think, pair, share, Socratic seminars, journal reflections, exit tickets, and written products. Those are just a few things that we can do that are some assessment strategies to help our students to be their very best. But I want to reiterate, differentiate assessments to address varied student learning styles. Differentiation is critical, and we have to make sure we address that and we focus on that so that we're addressing each student's needs. Benefits to student growth. Assessments and data the benefits are enormous. And what they do, I'm just going to name a few things. They guide instructional decisions. So it gives us an opportunity to decide what we're going to do. We can decide how we can address various subjects through our instruction. So it will guide our instructional decisions for each individual student. We can meet and gain a deeper understanding of our student learning needs. That's important for us to do. As we gain that understanding, it becomes exciting for us to figure out what's going to make that student work, what's going to make them tick, what's going to help them to be their very best. Create strategies to raise achievement. Again, it gives us an opportunity to create strategies. Provide feedback so students can understand their strengths and weaknesses. It's important that we provide feedback because if we don't provide immediate feedback, they don't even know what they're doing. They don't know what they did right or wrong. So we have to do that to help them to meet their goals and to be their very best. And we have to engage students in their own learning. When we do that, then we're engaging them, and that will help to engage us so that we understand as a whole what makes them tick and what's most important for individual student success. I want to thank you for your service to the profession, and I know you guys have questions too. We want to make sure we address all questions and that we're able to work together again to collaborate so that we can use data and assessment properly to instruct our students' goals and needs. Thank you.